Hi, Mr. Hopkins. The title of my game is Cards and Cookies, and well, there's a couple things you need to know before we get into the rules. So, you have your cards. So your king is worth 10 points, your queen is worth 7, your jack is worth 5, 10 is worth 4, 9 is worth 3, 8 is worth 2, 7 is worth 1, 6 is worth 0, 5 is worth -1, 4 is worth -2, 3 is worth -3, so on and so forth, and the ace is worth -6 or 11. That's up to the player. So the game starts off with both players getting 10 cards, and the person who has 30 points after a minimum of 2 card swaps wins 3.5 Subway cookies. However, if the second player has 90% or more of the points of the first, both players get 2 Subway cookies. This basically is a cooperation scenario where both players try to help each other out. Both players get 2 Subway cookies. So the game starts like this. The players put one card down on the desk, and then they swap cards in a clockwise direction. So if any player has 30 more points, they yell "I win," and this has to be after a minimum of 2 card swaps. So they can't immediately yell like "I win." So and slap the cards on the table for inspection. If indeed they have 30 points, they win. However, if they have less than 30 points, they are disqualified, and thus the game is concluded. So if they have 30 points, they win and the game is concluded. So in this game, people can choose to cooperate in order for everyone to get 2 Subway cookies, or they can be selfish, pass on the worst cards, which trigger all other players to do the same, resulting in the collective downfall, and they will get less Subway cookies. So if a player puts down the same card from a previous round, so let's say I got a 2 from my opponent, and I put down the same card in the next round, then I'm disqualified immediately, and basically the other player wins. So here's our payoff matrix, and so I tried to set this up as close as I could to the prisoner's dilemma. So if player 1 cooperates and player 2 cooperates, they both get 2 and 2. If player 1 cooperates and player 2 defects, then player 2 receives 3.5. Well, if player 1 defects and player 2 cooperates, then player player 1 receives 3.5, and if both players defect, they get half a cookie each. This is really similar to the prisoner's dilemma, where this has the best collective option, where selecting the prisoner's dilemma, both players would get just 2 years in jail total if they cooperate. But if one defects and the other cooperates, one player just gets to walk off, while the other has to spend 10 years in jail. So this is bad for the collective. And if both players defect, then they each have 5 years in jail. So that's all really bad for everyone. So basically, I try to set it up to Prisoner's Dilemma, where although the situation where for each individual, it would be better to defect, so that see if player 1 defects and player 2 cooperates, player 1 gets a lot more Subway cookies for himself than if he'd cooperated. And if player 1 defects and player 2 defects, if player 1 knows that player 2 is going to defect, then he should definitely defect. That way he at least get half. I think in one way it is different from the Prisoner's Dilemma, because at least in the Prisoner's Dilemma they both get punished, but instead they both get rewarded half a cookie for defecting. Although they do get rewarded less than if they both cooperated, but still. And that's how the game works. So in the game, people can choose to cooperate in order for everyone to get 2 Subway cookies. So if they both cooperate, and if both players, if let's say player 2 wins, but player 1 has 90%, which is indicative of them not being super mean to each other and generally swapping good cards, they both get 2 Subway cookies each. Or they can be selfish, pass on their worst cards, to trigger other people to do the same, resulting in the collective downfall. And the people will just get half a cookie, so they're rewarded less. So I wasn't able to show this mechanism of how people will both suffer, because I myself have such a bad poker face, and usually the other player knows what I'm gonna do. Well, that's it. 2, 1.
Alright, nice round.
Yeah, nice. Seriously? You were being nice? Oh god. I feel terrible. Okay, I'm gonna try to be nice now. 3, 2, 1. Oh my god. 3, 2, 1. That was fine, I guess. Yeah, I lose, right?
Yeah, you did. 15 and 11.